The night the alien nearly died, the rain never stopped falling. It poured through the ruins of Outpost Helion like the sky itself was trying to erase what had happened there. Fires hissed as water drowned them. Metal groaned and cooled. Bodies, human and alien alike, lay scattered where the battle had burned itself out. Jonah Cross should not have been there. He was not a soldier anymore. Not officially. Just a salvage engineer contracted to recover data cores and black boxes from dead colonies. Quiet work. Lonely work. Safe work, usually. That night proved how fragile usually was. Jonah picked his way through the rubble, helmet lights cutting pale cones through the rain and smoke. His scanner pulsed softly at his wrist, mapping heat signatures, mostly wreckage, cooling fast. Then it spiked. Jonah froze. Something was alive. He followed the signal into the collapsed command hall, stepping over shattered banners bearing the sigil of the Aurelian Dominion, the most powerful alien empire in known space. And there, half buried beneath fallen stone and twisted alloy, lay her. She was enormous compared to a human, her armor cracked and blackened, ceremonial plating fused to her flesh by heat. One of her arms lay at an unnatural angle. Dark violet blood mingled with rainwater, running in thin streams across the floor. Her eyes fluttered open. Golden. Burning. Terrified. Jonah's breath caught. He knew that face. Everyone did. She was Velith Chera, crown heir of the Aurelian Dominion. The future Empress. And she was dying. The night of choice. Jonah swore under his breath. Helping her was suicide. The Dominion had just annihilated this outpost after a rebellion. Humans caught aiding high-ranking Aurelians were labeled collaborators, or worse, enemies if they interfered with succession politics. Leaving her to die would be safer. Easier. Jonah knelt anyway. "Hey," he said softly, though he knew she wouldn't understand the word. "Don't move." Her pupils focused on him. Recognition sparked, and fear followed instantly. Her hand twitched weakly toward a shattered blade. Jonah raised both hands. "I'm not here to finish it," he said. "I just found you." Her translator implant flickered, damaged but functional. Her voice emerged broken, strained. "Human," she rasped. "Do not come closer." "You're bleeding out," Jonah replied. "If I walk away, you'll be dead in minutes." She tried to lift her head and failed. Rage and humiliation twisted her features. "Then leave," she hissed. "I will not owe my life to a nobody?" Jonah finished. "Yeah. I get that." Rain hammered down around them. Jonah looked at her shattered armor, the insignia of absolute power cracked and bent. He thought of the people who had lived on this station. The ones who hadn't survived the Dominion's judgment. Saving her felt wrong. But leaving her felt worse. "I'm not doing this for your empire," Jonah said quietly. "I'm doing it because you're alive. That's it." She stared at him, disbelief cutting through her pain. "Why?" she whispered. "Why would you save me?" Jonah didn't answer. He didn't have one yet. A life stolen back from death. It took everything Jonah had. He cut through fused armor with a plasma torch, ignoring the way Velith screamed and clawed weakly at the ground. He sealed ruptured organs with emergency nanogel meant for humans, praying alien biology wasn't too different. At one point she lost consciousness, her vitals crashing. Jonah slammed his fist against the stone. "No, no, don't you dare." He shocked her heart manually, overriding every safety protocol. It worked. Barely. By dawn, Dominion recovery ships screamed through the clouds. Jonah dragged Velith into the shadows just as soldiers flooded the ruins. He triggered a beacon, coded anonymously, and vanished into the rain before anyone could see his face. From the edge of the valley, Jonah watched golden light envelop her as medics lifted her away. She was alive. That was enough. He never expected to see her again. Years later, the Empress returns. The Aurelian throne world eclipsed the stars. Jonah stood alone on the marble platform, hands bound, not by chains, but by gravity fields that hummed softly around his wrists. He wore clean clothes for the first time in years, though they felt like a costume borrowed from a better man. He was 56 now. Grey at the temples. Slower. Summoned. The court stretched endlessly before him, columns of living crystal, banners of burning gold, alien nobles watching in absolute silence. And at the far end, the Empress rose. Velith Chera no longer bore the weakness of that night. She was resplendent, armored in living regalia that shimmered like a star's surface. Her once broken arm had been rebuilt stronger than before. Her eyes still burned gold, but now they carried the weight of empires. Every being in the chamber bowed. Jonah did not. Not out of defiance. Out of exhaustion. Human Jonah Cross, Velitha's voice echoed, calm and terrible. Step forward. The gravity fields released him. Jonah walked. With every step, memories flooded back, the rain, the blood, her broken voice asking why. You know who I am, she said. Yes, your radiance, Jonah replied. You know what I could do to you. Yes. And yet, she continued, descending the steps toward him, you looked me in the eyes that night. You saved me. You vanished. She stopped inches from him. Now, Velith said quietly, I am Empress of 1,000 systems. The court leaned in. And I have waited years, she finished, to ask you the question you never answered. Her gaze locked onto his. Why did you save me, human? The weight of an answer. Jonah exhaled slowly. I was hoping, he said, you'd never ask. A ripple of shock passed through the court. Velitha's brow arched slightly. Answer. Jonah lifted his chin. Because that night, he said, you weren't an empress. You weren't a conqueror. You weren't the symbol people curse or worship. He swallowed. You were just someone bleeding in the rain. Silence swallowed the chamber. I've seen too many people die because someone decided they were a symbol instead of a person, Jonah continued. I didn't save you because you were important. Velitha's eyes narrowed. I saved you because you weren't. The nobles erupted in outrage. Velith raised one hand. Instant silence. She stared at Jonah for a long time. Then, unexpectedly, she laughed. Softly. Bitterly. All my life, she said, I was taught that mercy is weakness. That compassion invites rebellion. That fear is the only language lesser species understand. She leaned closer. And yet, she whispered, the night I was weakest, was the night someone showed me mercy. Jonah met her gaze, unflinching. I didn't know who you'd become, he said. But I hoped, if someone saved you without demanding anything, maybe you'd remember what it felt like. Velith straightened. You accuse an empress, she said, of being capable of change. I accuse you, Jonah replied, of being alive. Judgment of an empress. Velith turned away from him and ascended the throne. Jonah Cross, she declared, her voice carrying across the stars, you stand accused of aiding the crown heir without authorization. Of interfering in dominion succession. Of surviving. The court murmured. She raised her scepter. The penalty, she said, would normally be death. Jonah closed his eyes. He had expected nothing else. But, Velith continued, the Dominion also honors debts. She turned. I owe you my life. Gasps echoed. Therefore, the Empress said, you are absolved. Granted citizenship. Protection. And a voice. Jonah looked up, stunned. A voice, he echoed. Velitha's gaze softened, just slightly. You reminded me what power cost, she said. You will serve as a witness. A reminder. A human who once looked at an empress and saw a dying woman. She paused. And I will remember the man who refused to look away. The truth that changed an empire. Years later, historians would argue about the turning point of the Aurelian Dominion. Some would cite policy reforms. Others the sudden end of planetary purges. Others the unprecedented alliances with humanity. Few would mention a stormy night on a forgotten outpost. Even fewer would mention the human who knelt in the rain. But Velith remembered. Sometimes, late at night, she would stand alone on her balcony, watching stars drift past the throne world. And she would hear his words again. You were just someone bleeding in the rain. Power had not made her forget that. It had made her understand it. The galaxy would still fear the Empress. But somewhere, deep beneath the armor and ceremony, the woman who had once been weak, who had once been saved, refused to rule by fear alone. Because a human had shown her another way.